All right, all right. Welcome, Yves, and thank you so much for joining Change Me podcast. And this is the first episode in 2024, so I'm very excited to have the conversation with you. So feel at home and welcome to Change Me podcast.
Thank you so much, Brother Jojo. It's such an honor to be invited to the platform. Spotify itself is such a huge platform, but again, I'm so excited that for the name that I feel in, I feel for the change me. The name itself really moved me. So I'm happy that at least my voice is gonna be held once again, which has been my wish that at least many people can hear from my voice and hear how we think and what we talk. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story with the rest of the world.
My pleasure to have you on the show and the podcast. And to begin with a short introduction, I'm Jean de Ndaikeza. Feel free to call me Jado. I'm the host of Change Me podcast. I'm talking to Yves Ndihokubwayo. He's from Burundi. I'm from Burundi as well. He's living in Rwanda as a refugee for now, and we're going to talk about the experience, the life, and everything in between. And I think he's one of the guys I have been talking to since 2020, 2021, something like that. And we had a couple of conversations, and he's an interesting guy. So I thought it would be a nice conversation to bring him on the show and share the story. What's up, man? Why don't you tell us what are you doing now?
Thank you so much. What I'm doing now is actually getting to my January is always dedicated to planning for the whole year. So it's a lot, but daily I do work as a marketing and tech executive of a software development company where I do interact with client on a regular basis. But again, I do teach robotics and coding as a side hustle. So that's actually what I'm doing as occupations. But again, dedicating myself to personal project. Sometimes when we dedicate ourselves to jobs only, and actually this is something I've learned for a long with the mentors that I've made. It's also better to set up a time for you and for your personal development.
Yeah, definitely. I think we as young people we have to keep learning and going, yeah, and we don't have to stop. And I think what you highlighted from that is the aspect and the use of education for the young people, mostly for the refugees. The education is very important. I remember, I think you completed your high school in a UNHCR and government Rwanda run school, Paisana L, to finish your secondary school and everything, and then you got a chance to go and start another program in Davis College. And I think one of the key points here I would like for people to know is that education is very important for everybody, but it's more or very important to refugees because it open doors to other opportunities and everything. I wonder how you ended up in computer science and robotics things. I would love to know more about that for sure.
Yeah, sure, I'll get you there. Yeah.
So how did you end up doing robotics, working in a software development company, things like that?
Yeah, lucky enough, I don't know. But like you said, education is something very key. When I was in Mahama refugee camp, with all the struggles, with all that happened in a refugee camp, I couldn't really believe that today I would be in Kigali, like Kigali, and do what I'm doing now. But how to cut the long story short, how I got into these things is actually when I finished my secondary school in 2021. I got a chance to immediately join a college. It was called Davis College here in Rwanda. And of course, my focus was on information systems, where we did programming, coding, digital, marketing, e-commerce. It was actually a blended system It's a US based education that is blended. And then my focus actually was on business intelligence. But again, I loved, leadership a lot. But then I couldn't even remember how I came to find myself into this. But as time went on, at the end of my diploma degree, that's when I was one of the top three performing students. And actually, the reward was to be given an opportunity to go and work somewhere. That's how I found myself into a company called Future Focus Rwanda, where I became a STEAM instructor. And then my area, of course, was to teach robotics and coding. And then the same thing again to the software development, where working as a marketing and tech executive. That's when we were still in the campus. And then during the visit, because I was lucky enough to become the Minister of Education and Careers. So we always had workshops at school. So one of the workshops that happened at school, there was this company among the companies that came. And then I went there as an intern. But then as I finished my intern for 3 months, I had to stay there. When I'm into system, I'm like violence. I need to make sure that, I penetrate and I do my very best
Yeah.
to make sure, yeah, that's how I got into those two things.
It's interesting. It's interesting, but I think also on for a refugee, I would say opportunities are limited. Well, I would say, to be clear enough, clearly refugees in sub-Saharan African countries, countries themselves are struggling to fulfill the requirements of their citizens, and then you have refugees on the side. It's very complicated. But what I would say for a refugee, it doesn't matter whether you get something or not, but when you get educated into something, you can make your way. I remember in 2018 when I finished my high school in 2017, and then I started my undergrad in 2018. One thing was I wanted to go and do computer science. I completed my high school in computer science, and then I wanted to go to university and then do 4 years in computer science. But then what happened is I was like, okay, I want to go there, but I cannot pay for that. Then how am I going to make it? And it's through scholarship. And then things happened. I couldn't get the scholarship in computer science, and then I ended up in management, in business, and I loved it. I loved it for sure. It was another package, another tool added to my package of tools I have to use or skill set. But I still love computer science. But I would say education, it's very important. Doesn't matter where you go, but in the process of doing that, you will discover, oh, okay, I actually love this, and I have this talent actually, and like to do this. So I'm very exciting. I realized you have this very good leadership skill, and you're good at teaching. So it's a very good to know that you're teaching the kids or people. I would like to shift the conversation now. I have been following you, but also through social media, but also through friends back in 2019, 2020 or something. You used to write some quotes, right? You used to write some quotes, like most of the time, and I've been seeing them. And I remember a friend of mine, Jean-Marie, would share with me some quotes, and I was like, oh, this is nice. Who is this guy? It's called Yves. Oh, how is he doing? I would like to know, what was your motivation to write some quotes and publish them mostly on social media or share with friends actually?
Well, that's a very great question. But what motivated me was the worry I had to be the person I wanted to be, and the gap that was there. Because I remember my fifth quote says, "I don't need to have big eyes to see far, but I need to have strong legs to take me far enough and see what is there." Because I could always have a dream to become a person of consequence, a significant person to people, of course, to myself and then to people around me. But then, regarding to the situation I was in, age, I could always say, oh gosh. But then a lot happened. If you may allow me, let me first start from the experience to live in a refugee camp as a young
Yeah,
child.
sure.
I
Would
got
love that.
into
Yeah.
a refugee camp when I was 16 years old. I had my 16th birthday when it was 1 month being a refugee here in Rwanda. And unfortunately, I left alone. I came without any of close family members or siblings when I left my country. It's that's another story. But it happened that kids could flee alone, parents could flee and leaving their children in the country, something like that. So myself, I found myself in Rwanda alone, no father, no mother, no sister, no close actually friends. Yeah, because of some reasons. Then and unfortunately again, I was under 18. It means I had to be one of the
Yeah.
street kids, if I can call that. So that then it was really challenging because number one, I came from a middle class family, but we were living such a peaceful way compared to how I was living in my country. So then, as a young child who used to go to school with a breakfast, have lunch, have dinner with no issue, with no school fees and whatever, to some extent, when you find yourself in a way where the mat becomes your bed, your table, where the meal is always constant from January to December for maize and beans, and in such a way that you got no external support. It was really challenging. So me as a street guy, I almost got depressed because there are
Yeah.
many young people were prone to prostitution, to drugs, to robbery,
Alcohol.
depression,
Yeah.
alcohol. It was really tough. I personally tried out things like modern dance, modern dancing clubs, karate, but then it couldn't really help because I remember we used to live by digging toilets. If you were there, you remember how we used to
Yeah.
struggle.
I remember
I
that in
personally was into,
2016. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I was into the firewood cellar because firewood was something bigger in camp that time, so I can
Oh
remember.
my
So
gosh.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah,
It's so
trying to balance this life where I had to go to school, only having probably one math and or cake for 50, and then I go to school starving. But I was like, if I don't study, I'm not gonna make it. Cause cause
Mhm.
cause back in time, though I left my country going to school, my father tried to make it and take us to school, but not actually a background to my family, which even inspired me a lot. Because if I may say this, I'm actually the first
Sure.
person who even attempted to attend a college in my entire family. Can you imagine? But I did that through the camp. Sometimes, to a personal perspective, people may think that you've wasted your time, probably you've lost, but in eternal perspective, I may say that God has a plan to people every day. But again, talking
Definitely.
on a situation of becoming a refugee, you know, refugees are these people who are prone to anything. But actually, they do have potential. They do have dreams like other people. They do even have power. But what they lack, opportunities and the chance,
Mhm.
like a freedom of speech, actually, because you're always, caged in one place, only expecting to be given some kilos of maize and beans at the end of a month, and then that's the life. So it's like in a jail, though it's wide. It's like in a jail because that's when you realize how people get depressed, spending all their time queuing long time for water, getting sick, and then probably it's always hard when I remember how people could get sick and feel differently, but to get treated by one medicine, it happens, and I cannot really
Yes.
say how can I even say it? Because I know UNHCR and the government do try, but because of big number of people in the same place, it's hard. But I really appreciate that the government has really tried everything to make it a home. So back to the topic, how then I got inspired. That's when I realized that becoming a karate guy wouldn't help. Becoming a dancer wouldn't really take me to anywhere. So I decided, let me hustle and go to school. Dedicating myself, I could really spend like a week having only like good lunch once a week. But I could only say If then this is happening, while I see that UNHCR is providing free education, what if I'm grown to the extent that I won't be able to go back to school? It's gonna
Hmm.
be tougher
Hmm.
than this. I decided to, to go to school and study. And then English was something new to us from Burundi. Our country used
Hmm.
French. So from a French speaking country, through the orientation program, that's when I fell in love with English. It's another story how I got into an English club in Mahama, became a mentor. But actually, that was one of way of improving my English. So then to apply what I studied, and of course, in relation to the struggles I was having, I was like, let me write something. I didn't know where it came from, but I was like, let me write something. Maybe, then that's how I could be combining some sentences, and then when I'm sleeping, hungry, I could, oh wow. I was like, I remember one of my quotes when I wanted something, I passed by a mom who was cooking posho, and I was, can you give me one? And then she sent me
Hmm.
out. I was like, Jesus, I should have
Yeah.
stolen it and run because I know she couldn't really catch me if I ran. But then I was like, but no,
No.
if you
No.
have
Yeah.
if you should have stolen that, you would be regretting. Instead, no, what do you want? I want to be feeding myself one day. So work harder today. Because it's either you pay today and play later, or you play today and pay later. So it was actually a matter of balancing. But I really thank so much those people who we looked up to, including you. Our big brothers went to school. And when you came for holidays, when you came from boarding school, you looked different, very confident, and good
Definitely.
enough you
Yeah.
could gather us somewhere and inspire us, telling us how, though it's hard, it would change to some time. So we only had that hope. Though you did not know that you were mentors to us, but you really did a great job, and I really love the bond you guys had, because you were always an inspiration to us, to those who really wanted to listen to you and really helped. So that's how I started
Oh,
doing
this
hosting and whatever. Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, for sure. In 2015, when we get to Mahama refugee camp, it was different. It was this thing. I wasn't used to being a refugee. I wasn't even ready to be a refugee. And imagine a 16-year-old living in a refugee camp alone, struggling without food, without clean water, medication, and it's insane. When we were in boarding school, when Mezo Shalom took us to the boarding school, one thing I realized is most of the things we were struggling with, illnesses and disease and everything there, it was due to food, nutrition. People didn't have enough to eat, let alone quality food. People didn't have enough to eat, and people didn't have a place to sleep and relax and let the body recover. It was so insane, and I realized when I was doing that, the the high school finishing up things, I was like, yeah, I'm sure I'm not the best. I'm not gooder than anybody else there, but I'm going to try my best. This place is not for me. That place is not for me. But how can I do this and help other people understand? Because I didn't know where it came from, but I had this feeling. No, it doesn't have to be like this. This Nobody is owing us anything. We have to change it. And then I tried to talk to my friends, colleagues who were still in Mahama refugee camp, things like that, and I ended up going to doing my university after the secondary school. But it was very, very crazy. The life was very crazy in 2015, without firewood, without food, without clean water, medications, and everything. It's destroying. I can tell you that it's destroying. People don't have, they they don't grow this thinking capacity, because you always think, am I going to eat today? I'm not sure. Am I going to find where to sleep today? Not clear. So which means your brain cells are preoccupied with thinking, how can I eat? How can I sleep tonight? So it's very, very difficult for the people who, well, not really strong enough to win or to defeat the devil. I would say the life there was very challenging. But you said something very interesting. You said from your family, you're the first person to go to university. But what has it done to you going to school, continue your education? What has it done to you as a person, as a young refugee guy, as a person from that family? What has it done to you actually?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question that I always ask myself. What happened to me? Because when I look at myself now, I'm like, wow, at least God has done something. I would be referring to one of the things I really wrote from the inner voice that always pushed me to do what I did that time. I can remember my fourth quote was when I was in senior five, in S5 in secondary school, and that's the time I became a head boy. And it's a really a
Hmm.
long journey if I tell you the story. But then um, starting from the um, the mentorship we had from you guys, which you later brought into something ABF. You probably will talk about it later if time allows. But again, you always told us that time is something that is constant, and then to that was like, what do I want to be? Because we seeing you doing wonders, speaking good English, becoming confident, always trying to instill leadership in us. We were like, okay, now I can do that. I can do that. Then that's for on a general level. But then me personally, then why as the first person, I'm from a low background in my country. Our country still believes into ethnic groups, which I think is not something really good. Though I have no more comment on that. And then, lucky enough, I was born in such category that is considered to be less privileged because of historical background, getting discriminated in the country and whatever, which then
Yeah, yeah,
limited educational level to our community, which later even inspired us to do something. Then I personally grew up in this family where at least 82% of the total population in our family did not go to school. So me inclusive, if you do a census today, you cannot find 200 people out of 12 plus million people in our country who went to universities in our entire community, if I can say the tribe. So then that was always something that had to push me every day to be like, oh, I really want to do something. Then in my country, if my dad could keep pushing, I would have finished probably second, which many are trying to do. But I am not sure if I could even go to a college or a university, how it happened here in Rwanda. That's why I was like, sometimes, it's like a transit. Me becoming a refugee, because becoming a refugee itself has its own tied problems, but again, it has several chances to some people. Because for me, I had no free, no freedom of speech in my country than what I can do today here. Same thing. That is politically, when you consider to be one of the people who are classified to be the last, cannot participate into governance,
yeah.
cannot participate into leadership, into business. You're only considered to be porters, considered to be people who cultivate for others to earn a living. So it was always hurting from within. So then, me
Yeah,
myself
and
finding
also the
myself,
confidence. You can't get that
yeah,
confidence
exactly,
actually. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So then, when I found myself in a refugee camp, one, it was intimidating because I was like, damn, I don't even have anyone to look after me. But then a voice kept on pushing. Now it's your chance to. Because if they were there, sorry, my mom could get sick and I worry much. But if she got sick in the country, I couldn't even know. I had no phone, I had no whatever, you know. So I was like, now, then when I went to school, because in my country I used to go to school and students could be mocking me, saying, hey, damn, you cannot do it, you cannot do math, you cannot do A, B, C, D, you are deserved to be, hunting in a forest, you need to be making pot and whatever. But here in
Hmm.
Rwanda, when I came, the government really gave us a chance that I can't know even how to express that, to go and study with the Rwandans outside of the camp, where where they don't care who you are, but what they cared was what are you bringing on the table. This system of putting students in groups and they discuss, that's the only thing was there. So I could only worry when I went back to the camp, because the people who we came together from the same country still had the same mindset of ethnic groups,
Hmm.
discrimination among themselves and whatever, which is something bad that I advise we should really keep it aside and consider ourselves as one, as Burundians, and then do something that would really you know bring an impact at a broader level, like how you guys did it with ABF. Because I can satisfy that ABF, if there was no ABF, I don't know. Because that's even where I learned to, how to write email. That's where I first time touched a laptop when you guys came and asked from, Maison Shalom and, Maison de Jeanne to give us a platform so you can show us how to create accounts and whatever. So if only if God can hear me, may he bless you guys for that activity, because it really changed many young people through that.
Thank you so
That's
much.
it. So
Thank you.
back to the story. Then to me, when I went to school and they could only you know allow me speak, give ideas, and people could clap. That's how I started involving myself into becoming class leaders, always near the head boy team and whatever. That's even how I end up becoming a head boy after 4 years in school. So that again exposed me to different conferences, to different speakers, to different chances. So um, um, then instilled leadership in me. And then to a family level, it has really meant something. It's a history
Hmm.
that I made, because I
Yeah,
remember
it's
when when
history.
when
Yeah.
when 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 my dad heard that I finished my secondary school. I'm telling you, they slaughtered a goat at home. They were like, "Our son has done it." It
Wow,
was almost
that's
7 years
interesting.
without think any, but now I was able to talk to them via phone. But when I said, "Dad, I have finished my secondary school," I'm telling you, I
Hmm.
was now the boss. I could speak and they hear. So good enough, through a foundation called the Morty Foundation that is supporting many young refugees to access education apart from what UNHCR is doing. So she took me to a college here in Kigali, and when I attended a university, then I opened the door for my family to access higher education on another level. So when I graduated, I remember um, my dad used to say, even if even if I may die, I have seen what I prayed for. But I said, no, dad, don't die.
Wow,
There is still out
wow.
you haven't seen. Guess what? Now that I finished, I'm working, I'm supporting my family in different ways, to the extent that now my younger sister is in her first year in university in my country in Burundi, which I'm paying school fees for, because my dad couldn't
Wow.
afford that. They couldn't
Yeah.
even hear. But now that they hear that I can speak to those people who they used to fear, and
Hmm.
if they can
Hmm.
follow my LinkedIn page, my Twitter page, and see what I'm doing, the conferences I'm attending,
Hmm.
the events that I'm really attending as a speaker, not even as a person who is going to watch, as a speaker. So now they can hear that I can at least show the world that what we only lacked was the opportunity, because we already
The
had the
opportunity.
potential. So
Wow.
through
This.
that, that's something really big that I think, not only my family, because if you allow me, I would take you through how I only remembered that it's something that can be sustainable if we invest ourselves into give back, like you guys, how you did that, which I guess also again ABF. Oh my gosh, I don't know. ABF was always there through idea support, any kind of assistance. So now my education is not only stopping to my family, because now we are also helping another young a group of young people, almost 40, like 41, actually 41 children, with their families, to access education
Hmm.
through the bond we decided to do when we gathered, when we went to colleges, and so that we could use a part of our stipend to do something impactful, and it's really happening. So you know education has really changed not only my life but my entire history. Yep.
Wow. That's a very interesting story to hear for sure. Most of the things I didn't know them, but it looks to me, it seems to me like when you reach in Rwanda as a refugee, You were like, okay, I'm alone. I don't have anyone on my side. Let me figure it out on my own. And you tried your best and you focused on yourself. You went to school, you managed to do things. And I understand for sure in Burundi with the ethnical things and everybody still having that with also the current political issues and everything. So people are still lagged into that thinking about all those nonsense and it doesn't make any sense to anybody. They prevent people from getting opportunities. It's it's a way of discriminating people. But I'm glad that you have been able to be able to continue your education and excel. And trust me, as of now we speak, all those people who were like, oh, he's less than, if he's from this ethnical group, so he's less than, I assure you, they can't even say that now. They can't because they see you've been able to do something out of yourself. And you talked about ABF. For the people who don't know, ABF is a short form for Act for a Better Future. It's an initiative I started with friends and colleagues of mine, a student we were studying together at Kepler under the global education movement. We were studying our programs at Southern New Hampshire University through this global education movement program in Rwanda. So when I started ABF, it was I started thinking about that in 2019 something, and then went up to 2020, and I was like, okay, here's what I want to do, but I realized I can't do it alone. But even if I want to do it, even if I will be able to do it alone, but I wouldn't be supporting others to think in this way. So what can I do? So I put a group of people together and then we talked. We had conversations. We talked about things, how I see things, how they see things. And then later I said, well, it looks like we are on the same page. Why don't we do something? Okay, what do we have to do? I have no idea what we have to do, but this is what I think we should do. And then I proposed something, they proposed, and then we ended up focusing on three things: offering a mentorship program, online programs, just training people on how to do, for example, writing an email, and also the mentorship program. I said mentorship program, offering the online programs, online sessions, and also application support, supporting the young people to apply on our schools.
That's one.
And I assure you, most of the people benefited from the mentorship program and the online
Yeah,
programs
sure.
we had online.
Me inclusive.
I remember we had some sessions, some mentorship sessions in was it in June 2021 something? The second session actually, I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, wow, that was amazing. It was an initiative I started, but I learned something from that. Refugees, yes, we have some limitations and we have our problems, we have our challenges and everything. And most of the countries, actually, would say, from my experience in sub Saharan Africa, is that they consider refugees as problems or challenges. Why? I try to empathize with them because they see young people drinking to death, using drugs, abusing alcohol, and everything. Why? Because most of the people are weak and you try to find drugs to mitigate the challenges. Say, oh, how can I escape this? People use drugs, people use whatever they find, but it's not everybody. It's not everybody. It's because we have 60,000 people in only like 175 hectares space. It's a very little place, and you have like 70,000 people, 60,000 people. So it's clear that a certain percentage of the people will fall into that category and abuse alcohol, abuse drugs they find. So ABF was like, why don't we inspire? Let's try to inspire people. I don't have money to support them. I don't have the power. I don't even have the status to say and people listen to me. But what I can do, I try to be better. I try to be the best version of myself, and I try to talk to people. And then at ABF, we don't have things or resources, but why don't we try what we have? Kepler was offering us internet. I had a computer, and we had time and skills. So what I said, okay, let's design some programs. Boom. Let's design some mentorship. Boom. Let's run ads online, Facebook, and everything. Create WhatsApp groups, and then we share the information to everybody. Most of the refugees there, and I'm glad that ABF has been able to help you and a couple of other young people we have been able to reach. And I hope we will continue doing that, even though nowadays we seem not to have enough resources to continue doing that. But we haven't stopped actually doing that. We just step one step back, and we will continue doing that because it's inspiring. It's inspiring to hear your storytelling. It's amazing. I would love to to shift on something very specific. I've been seeing
Mm,
you attending some conferences, some competitions, and looking at the GoFundMe thing links you set up to help. I think the 40 children you said, and
mm,
you're doing amazing, really amazing things. But I wonder, how are you figuring out life like yourself? Except
mm,
you're doing things, but how are you figuring out life yourself? And also, if you can tackle the point of the challenges you meet as a refugee until today.
yeah, that's a very good question. I would start from why do I attend those conferences, then the challenges, and then how I end up even do what I do. Oh, starting with one of my very first quotes. It's always about how you spend your time and what time brings back to you as a return for investment. Was like we can try to multitask when we're doing things, but I believe it's actually the quality matters most when you do single thing at a time. So one of my very first quotes was about a political situation that was happening. I remember my dad came to Rwanda, to the hospital. I haven't really seen him. It was almost 4 years when I left. But then the government kept on saying, "Ah, your son now is somewhere, probably is one of the labels outside of the country." But I was innocent. Just then I came. Young, I was that time I was turning 19. So then when
That's
he went back, I, ha- I, yeah, I
that's
haven't
something
even seen.
insane actually, and it happened to
Yeah,
so many people. I would say most of them, they would say, oh, your son is there, so he's now a trained soldier, he's in the military, I know he's coming, and it's insane.
that's something crazy. So when he went back home, he was put in jail for 2 weeks, explaining how he found me and
Jesus.
everything. I haven't even seen him because he was not allowed to enter the camp. Then he just came. He was even sick to death because Then I was like, really? Is this how the world really think? Because I believe that as a young child, it was now a chance for me as a refugee to go out and shine and do whatever. But then I could always feel sad when I hear something like that. So this quote came. I was like, what should I do? Should I really join the army the way they are saying and go back fighting? I was like, no, that way wouldn't really help. Instead, leadership. Because I even believe that many African countries lack leadership, because leadership actually is not about bringing followers to you, but it is, I believe it's about impacting who you follow to impact others. Because like how the success does not have a period, so does the leadership too. You only put a camera. If you can lead for 5 years, then leave it there and give a chance to other people and see how they can, because it's always like that. So my quote came, I was like, no man, you cannot do that. I wrote this quote. I was like, I will always remember this and do something. Then I will tell you why I do attend those conferences. It is said, you can't outmaneuver your critics if you don't learn how to outwit your component by striking outstandingly with constructive views. Myself, I would be going to fight using stones, which would take me nowhere. I would also, people mocked me and discriminated me. I would do the same and reply to them, but I was like, no, no. Instead, if these things see me as an opponent, so let me be. But again, how to win them a good battle is actually to attack, to strike with constructing views. That's how then I started writing quotes, saying, because I remember one of my quote said, "What I endure entitles me to essential experience for a better life, just like how soil water suckers plant or helps plant to absorb minerals from the soil." You see, because I could see whatever he saw was just there as challenge, but again, I would be okay. So if it is a challenge, then what? Because I refer to
Mhm.
this circle of life. There is this circle of concern, circle of influence, and circle of control. So most of those things were in my circle of concern. I couldn't really change them. So I was like, now let me focus on what I do. Then through
Yeah,
the
yeah.
becoming class lead, class leader, becoming head boy, becoming whatever, that's when I could realize how I attend conferences and hear how people talk. I was like, okay, now maybe one day I want to become an advocate for young people whose voice have not yet been heard because nobody spoke for them. And then I was like, okay, let me see what time brings. So when I attend university, it was now a chance for me to explore the town, from the camp to Kigali, the capital city, where even some of the people come to visit it as as a chance. So I was like, okay, now let me see what I can do. So using my past experience in leadership and through the mentorship we had, you remember how ABF used to connect us with different mentors. And like I could be connected to a mentor from Nigeria, from whatever country. Then I learned from that person because these mentors were on a personal level. So then through all
Sure.
of that, he said, let me join a team. So in my first year at college, I joined a debate team just to make sure I improve how I could speak. Then in my second year, that's
Mhm.
when I became a minister of education. Then that gave me a chance to always explore because my role was now to connect students with the outside world. So inviting speakers, taking students to different events. That's how I end up attending different conferences, attending competitions. Yeah, because actually I
Mhm.
loved about debating when I was in secondary school because I even led a debate group in my secondary school where we won on a district on a provincial level, in a debate. So I was like, wow, this is something. But then for me, I wasn't really expecting to attend those conferences and take pictures and see. But I wanted to actually go there and see what happens, see how people
Mhm.
talk, see how people view the world, see how you can he- let your voice be heard through different stuff. But again, if it is not positive, I'm telling you, it cannot take you anywhere. That's how I end up attending different
Wow.
places. And then I was like, okay, now the knowledge I got, that's the knowledge I used to have an initiative. Because when we were attending college, I told four of my friends who came from the same community, we're like, now that we are studied, we are given stipend. But at the end of 3 years, the stipend will stop coming. So what will we have done
Mhm.
from the stipend? They said, let's take 20% of each of each month's stipend and do something. Then we collected that money and send it back. We looked for coordinators in our country who had the same spirit to help young people.
Yeah.
So we said, now that there is land ownership problem, there is this kind of poverty that is on a higher level. My friend, being born in a country that is now considered to be the poorest country, that's something already. It's a motivation,
It's
you know, and
it's
nobody
it's
will come to
something
save a
for
country
sure.
except, yes, except us. So then we said, now that we're sending students to school, we are not solving the problem. Because you send them to school, you've bought uniforms, sandals, school materials, they go to school, but when they come back, they find no food, they will not go back to school tomorrow. So we said, as we send students to school, let's hire a plot of land for parents, put them in a cooperative, teach them how to save, how to to cultivate modernly. And then because we knew that it was a challenge, we said now students need insurance kids. They need insurance cards. They had no ideas and whatever. So we said now that we are putting parents into a cooperative. let's see how we can fund their project. They cultivate different kind of crops, they breed some animals, so that when students are sent to school, parents are busy doing something. When they come, they won't starve. And actually it's working. So that's why you even mentioned about the GoFundMe. We put out the
Yeah.
GoFundMe thing and got 300 USD, and that one was already enough for us to get started. And then now we are doing amazing. 41 students are now studying. Parents are cultivating and harvesting. At least we have done something. But then, as a refugees,
Wow.
though you see that I have done a lot, challenges are always there. Challenges are always there. Because, for example, starting from education, me, I studied college not because of governmental support or UNHCR support, but because someone decided to pay for my school fees at college. Someone that she's called Moretti. She's from New York. She came to visit camp, like camps always receive visitors. She found us gathered under the tree, teaching each other English. We had really the thirsty to know languages, because number one, I can remember how interpreters used to really do amazing when we are telling visitors what we was really hindering, and they could really change the meaning. If you say we are really
I
suffering
I I
ABC,
hated
and they,
that. I
yeah,
hated
and
that.
then the translator, but we could hear what they say, but responding was the issue. That's how we said, let's gather, let's form a group of people, become mentors, help each other. That's even how we improved our English from French speaking countries like this. So through
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
then a challenge that I have as a refugee, though I studied a college, it was a college for 2 years, a diploma degree, but I still have a dream
Hmm.
to continue my education. But I cannot go to UNHCR and say, pay for my school fees. But at least, if you can see, these 2 years that I added to my secondary education has changed my life entirely. Now I'm working where many people see as a dream, right? At least it's
Yeah,
pushing. If then, not me, because if I said now I need to continue my education to masters and whatever, that would be selfish. If I know that there are these people who also at least needs to reach where I am. Because if I'm
yeah,
working, if I
definitely.
don't go to school today, I may work and save. Probably after 2 years, I go back and pay for myself. But then, what about the one who never got a chance to live out the camp on a monthly basis? Now that people are even categorized, refugees are given less than 10 USD per month as as a
It's not
ratio.
even 10. It's like 3 or 3 or 5
Yeah,
euro, 5 USD. And
you know,
it's like I
can you
don't know
imagine?
what a
Yeah.
comment I have to make on
So
that
then,
for
yeah,
sure.
then then when I think of many young people like me, where I used to be, it's not actually what I read, not what I heard, but what I experienced myself. You
Hmm.
can spend a whole month without touching a single coin. That's 0.1 USD, 1 USD, right? You can
Hmm.
spend a
Hmm.
whole month without touching on that. So then, if a young people like that with the dreams, with such brilliant ideas, lack that chance, to me again, it's a challenge, though it's indirect. So then,
Yeah.
challenges that again I will still face is when it comes to, you know, um, different opportunities. Here you're in Rwanda, the government of Rwanda has done what even a word cannot really express, because it has given us home, medication, education, basic education, and whatever. And even it's opening arms to anyone, even if a refugee wants to study a master's, you go and study, no problem. The security is full. But then that doesn't, remove that refugees still struggle, because if one student at a time can access education and do what I'm doing, what if thousand? Because there are nearly thousand refugees, but young people every year schools send out thousands of students. Among those students, thousands of them are refugees. But then you may find that only like in my promotion, I studied in a class of 65 students in my senior six when I finished secondary school. But within that same school, we are only 6 people who managed to attend universities.
Hmm.
That was only in my only class of 65 students. And I studied in a school where I was the head boy that time. I led 6,000 students from primary
6,000
to,
students.
yes, from primary students from primary school to secondary school. Because if you remember where we studied as refugees, it was the biggest school in the country. It used to be one
Yeah,
one of the
I think it
biggest
is
before
still.
they
I think
separated.
it's still the
Yes,
biggest school in the
yeah,
country.
exactly. But now they separated into five schools. That is to reduce the load to the headmaster. Because I
Wow,
remember when I was
that
in
was a
senior
lot.
two,
That was a lot.
we were 23,000 in the same school. Can you imagine? So they decided to divide into five schools into one. Now we have five. They had, now students have five different headmasters, but into a same school, right? So then
Yeah.
one of the school that I was reading, we were 6,000. So then, on a
Wow.
percentage, if I was studying in a class of 65, and we were around five or six senior six classes, but in my school, in my own class, we were 65, but only six of us managed to attend university. Since then, since 2021, I still talk to them, and we are only six who managed. So then, let's
Six who
say
managed.
on a regular basis, if probably 1,000 students finish senior six, finish their secondary school on a regular on every year, and then only 40 students manage to come out of the camp and go to universities. You see how challenging it is for many young people. So then it's always then a challenge again here in Kigali, for example. I am working, but not I am not sure if everybody has got the chance to become such a known guy like me. Because why I'm doing this
Hmm.
job is because I was one of the three top performing students when we finished, when I presented my final project. So the reward, as I said, was to give us opportunities to go and work. But not
Yeah.
everyone gets a job through that way. So it means its job is gotten through application. But guess what? The application pops up, and then you read through the description, and then probably you read only nationals are allowed, or
Yes.
else,
Yes. Yes.
or else, you know,
And then you're
um,
done. Ah.
yes, you read the description, but again, you hear level of education which you don't have, huh? So you
Which you
see,
don't have.
if you are a
Uh-huh.
refugee who managed to finish secondary school and came to town to look for life, you will still do those basic lives like becoming a maid, doing these local things because you have no level. So it's still a challenge
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
To
It's still a
appreciate
challenge.
what
I
yeah.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. Maybe, maybe someone who will be listening to the podcast will be, oh, I would love to help this guy and finish the university. Who knows? But anyways, it's still a challenge for sure. I want to come back to the point of our home country. We left the country in 2015 for political reasons and everything, but now they think we are enemies of the country, but it's not for sure. It's not, but they think we are enemies of the government, but we are not, which is insane. When at least in my opinion, when you see people going out of the country, young people, families, and many people, thousands and thousands, as the leader of the country, you'll be like, oh, that is something. So what do I have to do about this? And then you try to find ways to
Mm,
make peace and people come back home. But if
sure.
if you hear that your father is there to see you, let's say, for example, to meet somebody else, and then they say, oh, you want to meet your guy, he's a trained soldier, we
Yeah,
know that,
yeah.
and then I put him in jail for 2 weeks. that's
Mm,
that's stupid. That's stupid in my opinion. I think people should remove that brain cell that thinks that way for sure. it's
exactly.
it's it's
Yeah.
stupid because the country is going nowhere. For now, we are like the poorest country on the planet. It's it's uh, it's 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 insane. It's insane. But also, I'm very glad that you have been able to get connected to so many things and so many people now. W- From my experience, the first job I did, or as an internship I did, I attended a training session. So when I was there was a CEO. It's called Jean Damol. I really like the guy. He's a cool guy. So he will be looking at people in the group, and they'll be listening. And at the end, we'll be like picking people and then want to talk to them. So, which means when you expose yourself, when you go out there, people are listening and
Mm,
people are watching, people are listening for sure. I assure you. So he
Yeah.
took a bet on me. He gave me an internship. Ended up it became a job. I hustled a lot. I learned a lot from him and everybody I was meeting. That's when I developed my idea and my business plan for ABF and everything. That's when I met people that were very first donor. Nicola was from UK who donated to our initiative. I met her from through that process as well. It means it's very lucky and very nice to go out there and see what's happening, what's going there, and people will meet you. For sure, it's very difficult as a refugee, but I'm glad that you keep going and we keep also looking for opportunities. And one thing
Yeah.
I would add is do not ever stop thinking it's possible. No.
Yeah, sure.
It's there is always a way. There is always a way of doing things. And as long as like keep yourself busy, keep yourself busy doing things. At the end of the day, you will find something. You'll be like, oh yeah, this is calling me. Then you have to do something about it. But I really like the interactions we had in the past and the programs we had. But I wanted to ask, like, in your own experience, you lived as a refugee at young age, 16 years old, and now you're still a refugee, but you tried to make yourself into something now. But as someone who don't really know what is it like to be a refugee, and what is it like to have nothing and try to make yourself something, how can he or she try to understand that and do something about it? Like, for example, imagine for sure a young guy being given, not even a young guy, a person, a refugee there being given three, let's exaggerate, make it higher, €5 a month, and say, well, if Jado, here's your €5 a month, so try to manage it and buy €5 a month and try to get everything you needed from that. It's very insane, but I would love you to talk about how would anyone try to understand this life of refugees and how could he or she try to do something about it.
Yeah, thank you. I pray that at least when now it comes to talking to that, sometimes I even feel emotional. But before I say anything, uh, probably to anyone, like to anyone who is listening to me, especially refugees, be it from Mahama refugee camp where we basically located, or anywhere in the world. My second quote was saying about how a person with a dream shouldn't be discouraged. I said when somebody endeavors to change his past, he never gets downplayed by his external threats, but he endures his point of view the most, regardless of what he endures, so as to be successful. Why? When you ask me about that, I could remember when I could be away from the camp in the forest looking for firewood, where there was no any near house you could go and protect yourself when it rains. Sometimes you could get frozen. I remember one day there was a heavy rain. It was torrential rain, and it found us in the forest, and then we got frozen. We had to wait until it was the rain started falling around 10 a.m. till 1 a.m. But I'm telling you, we got
Wow.
frozen at 3 around 4, because nobody could even help each other. We couldn't
Yeah.
we couldn't shout. Nobody could come and save us. Just
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So then, me thinking of this life as a becoming a refugee, where you get less than 5 USD per month, and that actually it was easy when you left. Probably when you left in 2020, 2021. But now, currently,
Yeah.
are into categories. There are this, if
Now
you
it's
are
crazy. It's
above
crazy
18,
now.
if you are above 18 and probably have gone to school or not, you are strong enough. You are given gas to cook, you are given medication the way other refugees are, and water, and where to live. Then for the rest, you mind your business. You no longer even get those five. That's how many people end up
Wow.
becoming stealers outside. If you have this close-minded and you don't have to think out of the box, that's how you end up doing what you shouldn't do. That's how people, young people, especially girls, are prone to prostitution because they have no other choice. You have nowhere else to go. So then now you said what one person could do to help. If a person can go out with friends, to hang out with friends, and spend 100 over a night UST, that 100, if we are to give it to refugees who are given 10 USD per month, you would save 10 refugees per month over a night you've spent with your friends when you spend 100 USD. But then, if you are giving fish to, to people, sometimes things happen with this world that is always changing. I guess that one would again cease and then put them to a worse situation that other than before they start getting the 10 USD you're given. But then
Yeah.
through opportunities, like through the education, if you can sponsor one, you may not help all refugees, but if you can sponsor one, because for example, me, if I'm here in Kigali, apart from surviving on myself, if I take some percentages on my salary and send it back home to do something for my family, to the initiative that I'm having, and again here in Mahama, some of friends can call me and then I do something just for one night, which I can afford. Then imagine if you took one to school, if we were 10 doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If I can help at least three people a month whenever I get a salary, what if we are 10? Would be helping 30 now, right? Through education. It may be like some people are already out of education, a formal education, which they cannot even go back to school because of year have passed. For example, if you left your
Yeah.
country when you were
Yeah.
in senior five, when you were 25, and then now it's been 9 years in a camp, you know. So telling that same person to go back to school might even, according to how they suffered, he might not even catch up easily. But
No,
through
it's
technical,
it's difficult. It's difficult. I
yeah,
I assure
you
you.
know,
Mm.
but through these technical courses, like probably hospitality, these trainings that take probably 9 months, one, through that, probably providing materials like tailoring machines where they can combine themselves into a cooperative and do something. They can sell things, they can become local traders. There are sort of stuff that you can do, but not giving them, if you're feeding them, it's okay, but I would prefer something that is sustainable, to do something for a
Mhm.
person
Mhm.
which make him or her to be able to do something for himself after you left. Because
Yeah.
even not only, I guess it's only God who can constantly keep supporting people, tirelessly. But if you raise someone, like for me now, at least I can do something because somebody helped me. But then I'm
Yes.
alone.
Yes.
Probably we
Yes.
are 10,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
we are 100 out of 183,000 refugees living in Mahama camp. See, so it's something. But if anyone would really wish to help through the initiative, for example, like ABF has done something. We already know you. You guys helped many young people. What you did was for free. Though I don't know how you managed to do that. Probably through the stuff, the support you got. But at least you see, you helped us. I went out of the camp when I knew how to write an email. I remember
Yeah.
stressing you out. I was applying to this college, but you said, Eve, I know you can do it. Not that you didn't want to help me. I said, Eve, I know you can go do it yourself and let me edit what you've done. But I knew how
Yes.
to use Course right that time because you helped me. And I even never struggled when I joined university because I already knew that. And that one would
Mhm.
be that one was better than if you came back to school with your money and gave me 5,000, which I would have spent in a week and then go. But you gave me something that is now helping me, that will forever helping. So that's what I would
Yeah.
advise who really has the
Mhm.
heart to help, do something that is sustainable. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I think also people think like, oh, you want to share, and the government is running the camp, so they are doing everything. It's
Not
not
really.
everything. It's not everything. And I was very, very annoyed to see some of the organizations, I would say, in my judgment. building some stuffs, building playground, not even is something useful, but to spend the money to implement the project, something that
Yeah,
will not add anything to the community. And I was like, what the hell? Why wouldn't they use this money, take 5 or 10
yeah,
students to the university and change their life? It's insane.
yeah,
My comment is most of the organizations, they implement projects and they have
yeah,
metrics they have to meet. They have the baseline, they have to measure the metrics. It's all about numbers. It's all about numbers and no, nothing else. Maybe there will be 1% of the impact, but it's in my opinion, some project it's effective, but to some others it's not for sure. Uh, I remember in 2016 when we went to finish our high school, our secondary school. I was like, after 1 year, I was like, if Meso Shalom would have been able to take all the 15 or 20 or 30,000 students, take them to the boarding schools outside the camp, the life wouldn't be the same in Mahama refugee camp.
I agree.
Trust me,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the same because I
very
know friends of mine who stayed there. Now they only think in food and drinking, and some of them are now married, and it's not like they're enjoying the marriage or things, but they are
yeah,
there as an escape option, which is not considered something anybody
yeah,
in the right mind should dare to do that. It's very critical as a refugee to live in Mama refugee camp. What in 2018, one day before my was it my 22nd or whatever birthday, I wanted to wash my clothes and I couldn't find even 100 Rwandan francs, which is equivalent to like, let's say maximum €1. It's not even that, it's like 10 cents, 10 cents euro, 10 cents dollar, something to buy a soap and wash my clothes. But I couldn't find that. I remember I had an agenda, I wrote it there. I said, God forbid, this is not going to happen again. I can't find a
mm,
hundred euro, 100 Rwandan francs, like 10 cents to buy a soap. I have education. I did computer science. I know how to use computers and everything. I'm physically fit, but I can't find anyone to offer what I have to offer and earn at least those 10 cents. I was like, yes, but this is not going to happen again. And until today, I'm like, I know what is it like to have nothing, but
yeah,
hopefully I'm not going to be in the same position again. That's when I tried. I said, I have to go to school. I have to leave this place and go meet people. Actually, I had my passion. I, I the reason why I started ABF, I would say the hidden reason was people struggling, but they think they are struggling because something they see, but it's not that. It's the mindset of thinking it's not possible, and they think like, oh yeah, this is how things are, and they will keep being like this. But I said, no, let me show you that something else can happen without a lot of resources, but with the right mindset. And it
mm,
worked. It helped people, and until today, I'm like, education is very key, but most importantly, change your mindset, and the things will come your way. Meet people and talk to them, learn how to speak. It's very difficult, um,
mm.
but I'm glad that you have been able to escape. I would
Yeah,
say to
yeah.
escape and build something out of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
I can remember when I was I used to stress you out with you with Jamaru with the team. Actually, the ABF team was you guys. I don't know, when you grew up, we need to to let the world know how impactful you guys have been to the even because you were the first cohorts of the refugees who attended universities. But I'm telling you, the way you opened up doors to many people, not necessarily that you've done something, but the the possibility you brought to us, showing us that it was really possible that you can come from A to B or somewhere. and it was really something. So now talking about uh, what it takes for some who like me who managed to escape that life and go out. There is three things that are always motivating me every day. I'm like, okay, so now how do I get to know people? It's through building a rapport. Meet people, get connected, because people attend conferences for pictures occasion, for self-service occasion, especially these people who are hungry. I remember when I came out of the camp in the first trimester at college. Hey man, the food we ate was the same food we used to eat
In-
after that trimester, almost like doubled. Because if we consumed some kilograms in the first trimester, I'm telling you, after the second trimester, we could see that it was almost half of what we consumed in the first trimester. Means people were hungry, really. And if you're hungry, you cannot really think. Huh? But
no,
then,
you can't.
if I
You
might
can't.
advise, yes, if I might advise, I think to make it through, like for us, me inclusive, and others who can really do the same, it's through volunteerism. Because I remember all the skills I got were even, you asked me what motivated me to find myself into software development and whatever thing. You remember I applied to become a social media manager at ABF just to manage, though I didn't do it for a long time. But at least the tricks, how to do things, how to write these emails, how to automate things. I remember I approached Jumbo Score, the one who was in charge, and through his short time training, I'm telling you, there is this one thing you hear from a person, and you're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
gosh, it's just for the entire life, you see. Because if someone showed you how to open an account on Gmail, that's something you can never forget, And there are these
No,
people
you
who see it
can't.
as something big, you know. You teaching us how to use PPT, Excel, Word. We thought it was something smaller, but actually it was not. It was something bigger. Yeah. So, and again,
No.
apart from volunteerism, mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, there are these people who like I was talking to some of my former classmates in senior six, saying let's go back and do something home. In actually we are
Mm-hmm.
organizing something, then we go visit our fellow classmates, and then discuss with them, see what we can do, see a project that is actually possible, that we can be able to afford on ourselves and do something. And then we were like, but then, you see. But then one said, hey, I had, through the mentors I got from the training we had through ABF, the guy was connected to another guy from Nigeria. Now this guy is studying at Kepler now, at Kepler College. He
Mm-hmm.
was one of the ABF members that time, and then you connected him with a guy from Nigeria. But guess what? He said A, B, C, D that I cannot reveal, and actually is what we're
Mm-hmm.
going to apply to make sure we help our former classmate, because we did what we had mentorship. So then those three things:
Mentorship. Yeah.
building rapport, making sure that if you meet someone, make sure that person still remembers your name or your face when you leave, because meeting person is one, but again, you know keep in touch with that person is also another thing. Number two, doing volunteerism when you can, because not like
Mm-hmm.
for a refugee, whole, it's another thing, because with the limitation we have, it's either educational level that we don't have, it's either it's about nationals that sets you apart a bit, but through
Yeah.
volunteerism, that's a trait. You can say I know, but again, I need skills. So I remember me applying to Precol Academy. I went there and I said, I live near here. I won't cost you any ticket. I won't cost you any
Yeah.
lunch. I'll let me
Mm-hmm.
come and work from morning to 4. Just you let me know the package. But I'm telling you, man, after only 3 months working with them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, things changed. Things changed. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's more about mentorship, volunteerism, and then getting to know people. And the
I
combination
I
of that,
I agree for sure. Yeah. I agree for about the connecting with people. My biggest contract I've ever done in Rwanda as a consultant in data collection and analysis. It was someone said my name in a room where I wasn't in. So she said my name. She said, "Oh
Wow.
yeah, I know this guy can do that, and yeah, I
Mm,
will connect you and take it from there." So she texts me, "Hey, I recommended you for this job, and I believe you can do that. So take it from here. They will contact you." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." Then it has been like quite some time we haven't connected
mm,
regularly, but I make sure I keep contact with my people. So she recommended me, and I did the job. I did not have 100% of the skills. I needed it to be successful to that consulting job. But what I did is I did my homework. I learned the program I had to use and I mastered the program. Then I did the job I had to do. I did it perfectly well, as humanly as I can. And what happened
mm,
within the same organization, they were calling me after that first contract. They called me, "Hey,
mm,
would you mind coming? We want to talk about something." And then it went there. They gave me another proposal for another project. They told me, "Well,
mm,
we need someone very very quick. We need someone who reliable who will do the job. Please, can you do you have some time?" I
mm.
say, "Yeah, I have time."
Yeah,
And
sure.
then after that, I had the job. I did also hire people on my side. I had a limited time, and then I hired the people on the side, paid them some money so I can complete the task in time. It means you connect
Mm,
with someone, but at the end of the day, you don't know what's coming. Later, they will be the person to say your name. Like for example, now I know I can voucher you anyway. I could recommend you to anybody who will need a guy to rely on. It's very interesting. But then we come back to the confidence thing. As a refugee, you feel less than, and you're like, I don't have this confidence. I don't know if I can do that. But trust me, in your right mind, with the right thinking, focus on that, and I assure you will be able to do that. I don't like anyone who say, we refugees, we can't get these. Yes, I know it's almost impossible to get anything as a refugee, but why don't you try? Like I'm telling you from my experience. I tried things, and I even like an example. I even tried to apply on a job where they say nationals only. You know what happened?
yeah.
I went there. I went there. They accidentally gave me an opportunity to do an interview. So I went there. I had a skill set. I knew the job I wanted to do. I didn't have 100% of the skills, but I went there and then did an interview, and they liked me. I would say they liked
Wow.
me, but but at the end of the day, they we did one exam, the second, the third. Then after they were like, hmm, this guy is capable of doing this job. And then they ignored the point of being a refugee, of not being a national. So they gave me the job because they found a potential in me. But to
Mm,
say it's when you see something like that, but then you are educated enough, you are kind enough, you are strategic enough to grab the opportunity, you will end up making a way where there is no way. So just try. I know it's very hard, it's very complicated. But yeah, there is some limitations, but you can always try something. You have nothing to lose in any case. So that was my experience on those kind of jobs. But I know it's very
yeah, yeah.
difficult.
That's the same thing actually that happened to me. With this kind of confidence, I really understand most of young people in refugees. When I could remember when you wake up, because the refugees is somewhere far from actually other kind of buildings, right? So it's actually isolated itself. Yeah. So when you're there, you can only see mountains, and when you happen to see the same mountain a whole month, your thoughts are going to be stuck to that mountain. You always think till to that mountain. You cannot think of what is behind the mountain. That's why I'm like, if anyone would really do something to push, because I'm telling you, if any of that life comes out, we outshine. You may ask me how, as a person with a background in mathematics, economics, and geography, came to finish my education, my college with a GPA of almost 3.3 out of 4, as one of the top three performing students in information systems, while I did not do computer science, while I did not do
Hmm.
those things in my secondary. Yet fellow students, classmates, there were some who did computer science from their A level, but who did not make it like me. So it means when you get a chance to get out of that comfort zone, that's why I'm recommending that if there is anything a person can do to support, only letting a refugee child get out of a refugee camp and go out there, I'm telling you, we are able to manage. We try whatever it can take, and we shine.